tips with dealing with this voice to skull. It's just I think it's good to be aware of the different levels that you can be as a victim. Almost everybody starts off as a newbie, and you don't know what this whole thing is, um, and then you're caught up in this whole web of confusion. Basically, the attackers are having fun because they're beaming all of this stuff, and you're running around, and you kind of don't know what's happening. And then after a while, you begin to be a little bit more suspicious that there's something else going on. You're not crazy, and you're not there's actually somebody who's doing this deliberately. And most victims' eyes begin to open when they stumble online after maybe a couple of searches, searching for different symptoms. Most actually don't get that lucky to find out what's happening because it's not a well-known problem, or it's a very unusual set of events that might lead most people to eventually find out that they're actually being stalked. And then as you learn more and more stuff, you begin to understand the entire system. That there's more than just hearing random voices. It's electronic harassment, and then there's also gang stalking. And then the hardest part is accepting that this is probably going to be for the rest of the life. Um, that it's not going to go away. That life is pretty much different, and accepting that life just begins to fall apart completely. Um, the guys who are doing the attacking, or the perpetrators, after some time they actually do let you know that you're not that it's them who's actually doing this. They let you know because you know you're not in a position that you can do anything. You can't fight, you can't win, and that's part of them pretty much trying to get under your skin to build up a lot of frustration. And because they're going to be in charge, you're not there's not much that you're going to be able to do. After a while, they systematically and gradually on a daily basis destroy your brain. They're doing this so that you can't you get to a point where you can no longer hear your own voice. It's pretty much it's going to be like the voice of God in a way. They suggest commands, they suggest stuff like commit suicide or take out a credit card or whatever it is that they're suggesting to you. You're not in a position to tell that it's them. You think it's you doing your own normal thinking. And then part of the progression, I think eventually a lot of victims, they just get to survival mode because life is so difficult. It's very difficult. When you can't concentrate, when you can't do your job, when you can't, even if when you try and do something religious, you can't pray, you can't meditate. Seeing your personality change simply by being in a negative state all the time. And some of the basic tips, I mean, it doesn't even matter what level you are, but the biggest tip would be to sort of avoid emotions such as fear. I mean, this is pretty much the base, like primal emotion that they're going to play to try and get you to do stuff, to try and get you to react in a negative way. Um, in most cases, they try and force the idea of death, like threaten with death or suggest death, and all other kinds of fear, like losing friends and being isolated and losing money and not being without a job. So most of their skits and most of the conversations or most of the programming is around trying to get you to be in a fearful state, fearing what you're going to lose. Um, Also, they're trying to get you to move residences and move houses and get out of your comfort zone, isolate you as much as possible. I mean, moving residences, most people might have signed a rental lease for maybe 6 months or 12 months, or they might actually be owning a house, and they're trying to get you out of your comfort zone and trying to mislead you into thinking that if you run off to a different place, you're going to be safer. Then you won't be hearing those voices anymore. Um, so it's important not to move. Just understand that wherever you go, it's subtilized based attacks. So wherever you go, they're always going to be attacking you. And also avoid mental professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, simply because they're just going to misdiagnose you with some disease, bipolar, schizophrenia. Most of them are actually aware of this sort of thing. I mean, for one, you're a new business for them. You're a new client that they're going to be milking off for pretty much all their life. They're not going to tell you that, hey, you're not crazy. They're going to, they will say, we're going to run this for 6 months and see how it goes. And they charge you, they bill you, they give you prescription medication that doesn't work, and they say, hey, maybe we need to up the prescription. Meanwhile, you're actually not crazy. And also just being aware that your emotions and feelings are all manipulated and they're all controlled as well. So the perpetrators are actually, if you're hearing voices, it means they've got access to your central nervous system. They can do more than just, letting you hear voices. That's why it's important to avoid acting on impulse. For instance, when things like road rage, they might create situations where they're actually trying to trap you, to get you arrested. It's all about just destroying your life completely, just causing a whole lot of chaos in your life. Because it's part of a complex system, it's part of a bigger system. It's actually very hard to work out, especially if you're just a new guy, if you're a newbie, or your eyes are beginning to open. It takes a while for you to work out, to put all the pieces together. But the biggest tip is just always be aware of the intent. These perpetrators have got maybe a couple of goals for whatever setup that they're trying to play. But it's always going to boil down to them trying to destroy your life, them trying to set you up, them trying to get you to be crazy, them trying to get you to be isolated. It's always going to be those base goals. They're going to go about it in a lot of different ways. They do this all the time, almost on a daily basis. So they're playing a lot of psychological tricks and tactics that actually work. They've been tailor-made specifically for you, and they work very well. They've done this a couple of times. I mean, this sort of thing has been running for over 50 years, so they've been tweaked, and they work pretty much all the time. And also they're using a lot of brute force through the technology that they've got. They're going to force a lot of stuff. They're going to force a lot of dreams into your head. They're going to force you to feel the fear when they, playing out skits or role plays around, let's say a friend of yours or a couple of friends no longer want to have anything to do with you. They're going to actually force that to happen. They're actually going to go to that friend and lie to him that, you've got this disease, or you're crazy, or just so that the lie becomes a little bit more believable. So the kind of game they're trying to play here is manipulating reality. And all the crazy stuff that you're experiencing, all the unusual stuff, it's them who's doing it. It's not, you're not imagining it. It's actually, there's actually a couple of people pulling the strings together. Another tip is it's just a reminder that it's voice to skull. So they're actually sitting out at a distance. They're sitting out, maybe it might even be sitting out like 100 kilometers away from you, and they're beaming all these voices and sounds because they're using satellite. So you don't always have to believe everything that you hear. Even if you're walking by the street and it sounds as though people behind you are talking about you, or you might be sitting at an office and it sounds as though people are gossiping, or sitting in your own home, and you happen to hear what sounds like neighbors talking. I mean, if you were to just take 2 minutes and think about it, that why would a neighbor be talking about you, and how come you can hear through the walls, and whereas all your life this sort of thing has never happened, and why is it that only in the past few months or in the past few years you've been able to somehow magically hear through walls, that sort of thing. So just remember that the voices and the sounds are not real. They're convincing, they're misleading. It sounds believable, but it's not actually, you're not hearing it via your ear. And also don't trust your own emotions for the fact that they're being manipulated. When these guys keep on bombarding you with all kinds of tricks and talking non-stop, you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to trust anything they say. You don't have to take anything that they say as the truth. They're actually lying. They're just lying from the right from the get-go. They're lying, they're manipulating, they're trying to fool you, they're trying to blindfold you, they're trying to manipulate you, they're trying to steer you in the wrong path. And it gets very difficult to keep up with all the madness and all the craziness. So it's probably, for the sake of making it easy, to sort of remain in control in a way, it's worth a while to start journaling and put some of the stuff down. You can have different types of journals, or having some kind of proof. So when you notice funny things outside of your house, or funny things happening, if you've got a camera, just take a picture of the stuff that's happening. If you can videotape some of the stuff, you videotape it. If you're hearing funny voices in your house, you can record some of the voices. You can keep a journal. You can record everything that's happening. And just knowing that it's going to be hard. It's not a fair fight. You've got people that are being paid 24/7 that are actually taking shifts around the day. Their job is simply just to disrupt your life and kill you and manipulate your life and try and get you to die, or try and get you to be crazy. They're using advanced technology, so you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance of winning. It's all about a destructive treadmill that you're going to be running on a daily basis. It's always going to be something new every week or every day. There's going to be a new trick that they're going to play on you. They're going to be spamming you with all sorts of stuff. They actually don't care. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care about your health. They don't care whether you're suffering. They don't care whether you've had enough. They don't care whether you're dying. They're not moral. They're not. They have got no set of right or wrong. They're actually deliberately sabotaging your life, and it's all part of a bigger script. And there's no way that you're going to win. It's a big system. It's lots of people involved. It's people that are paid. They've planned all the steps ahead of you already. It's going to be very, very, very difficult. And the chances are that you're going to lose your job. You're not the only person who's going through this sort of thing. Most victims lose their job. Most victims, if they do find a job after a few months, they can't hold on to it because the perpetrators are doing everything to destroy every part of your life, your career, your health, your social life. Most of your friends will begin to disappear. Strange events are not going to stop. They're going to keep on going. Part of the script is that they have to spread lies. They're following a system. I mean, it's pretty much the same for everybody. That they seem to be following more or less the same script. They spread rumors about you, and if they want to try and paint you as a victim or as a villain, like a criminal, they're gonna create fake evidence for that sort of thing. They will isolate you, and it's very difficult for you to keep track of what's going on. Meanwhile, they basically create character assassination, destroying you emotionally and mentally. It's all part of the script. It's all part of the game plan they're following. And there's no happy ending. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be life. This is probably going to be it for the rest of your life. And you can only learn more about this stuff. You can only learn more about gang stalking and organized stalking and electronic harassment. And it's worthwhile if you're just only starting off at a first level. If you're just a newbie, it's worthwhile to invest as much of your time possible learning, going through forums and seeing what everybody else is going through, and learning about all the different tactics, all the different all the terminology, so that you're armed. I mean, if all of these kind of things happen, they try and get you to sign up for a credit card, or they're trying to redirect your phone call. You're not really fazed by that sort of thing. You're better prepared, and just knowing that the rest of society is pretty much is in denial. Most people don't know about this sort of thing until they get into it. I mean, most victims don't know. Otherwise, they would have. Most victims would have been better prepared if only mainstream media would report about this sort of thing. Right now, everything is still lumped into schizophrenia, so you shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't waste a lot of your effort trying to prove everybody wrong. Knowing that the medical sector, psychiatrists, psychologists are also in on this sort of thing, and it's probably not worth your while to try and sue people and report this to the police. And family as well, family and friends. It's going to be very hard for them to understand because there's just so much chaos happening, and some of them might actually be used as part of the stalking, or they might actually be used as part of the army or the forces that are trying to destroy your life. You don't need to be that suspicious, but just be aware that actually they do use people that are close to you. And if you want to open up, it's worthwhile just making sure that you're knowledgeable about the topic, you know the ins and outs of the topic, and you don't need to open up to everybody all at the same time. Only when you're ready, only when you have a feel of what's going on, and you're definitely aware that people are not going to believe you, or people might deliberately not want to listen to you because they might already know what's happening, and they might actually be playing dumb. And whenever you're opening up to a person, whether it's a church member or a friend or a colleague, you've always got to be sure of your motive as to what it is you're trying to achieve. Remember that the perpetrators almost know everything. They almost know all your actions or all your steps ahead of you. So if you're going to try and run to that person, chances are that they might have already reached that person. They might have already sort of twisted or gotten that person to be against you. So it's all, you don't have to believe everything. Even if the person appears to be sympathetic and be on your side, might actually be an enemy instead of an ally. And it's all about survival. It's all about trying to keep the good spirit going, trying to keep everything that makes you happy going, as much as you possibly can, because these guys 24 hours a day, they don't stop. They're always on the attack. You don't need to stop watching TV. They have a list of everything that makes you happy and everything that gets you inspired, and they're out of their way to try and destroy all of those things. Also being around people, I mean, they're going to try and discourage you from being around people and say, hey, you shouldn't be in public, you're not wanted, you're not welcome by society, because you're strange, and you're not worth, you're this useless guy. Not everybody's is bad, not everybody's is sort of, actually, if you think about it, people don't care. How long do people hold grudges? How long, if you think of all the scandals that have happened, there've always been scandals that happen to, like, presidents, to politicians, to anybody, sports guys, and how long do those how long does any person keep a grudge for? So even if this is happening to you, people actually don't care. People actually don't they might be freaked out or laugh or whatever, but after a few months they move on with their lives. So perpetrators are going to try and always keep you in this loop that you're isolated, you don't need to be around people, you don't deserve to be a member of society, but meanwhile actually people move on. And over some time, they're going to try and change your personality. It's important to know yourself, because they're always going to be lying. They're always going to try and twist and manipulate and get you to doubt stuff, to get you to doubt people, to get you to doubt yourself. So just make sure that you're aware of your core values, what you stand for, and your what your personality is about. And it's all about knowing that it's a scheme. There is a reason why they're doing all of this. It's usually to do with money, and they're not going to stop. That's why even if there's a new perpetrators, even if you start hearing new voices now, it's all because they're getting paid. It's all because they're making a living. It's all because it's a career for them. It's all mind games that they're trying to play. It's all twisted, and you might need to evolve. Maybe the biggest takeaway, I mean, once you start getting to levels and you see this going on for years and years and non-stop, you might need to evolve, police your own thinking, because it gets to a point where it's very difficult to tell what is you and what is them, and it's very difficult. It literally gets impossible to tell the difference between what your own thinkings are and what's being programmed, almost, in a way. And maybe just accepting that you're no longer in charge. This is probably a difficult one. It takes a while. Just accepting that you don't have any kind of privacy, you don't have any kind of, you're no longer a normal person, you're no longer your own god in a way, but there's somebody out there always trying to sabotage your life, and always always trying to disrupt your life. So it's all about evolving, and I think all victims hope that one day this sort of thing will end, but I think in the meantime it's all about just evolving.